Hello, this is Darren Pulsipher, Chief Solution Architect of Public Sector at Intel, and welcome to Embracing Digital Transformation, where we investigate effective change leveraging people, process, and technology. On today's episode, we're going to talk about cloud brokers again. Guys, welcome back. I have Dave and Kevin back with me. They are the founders of the cloud broker team at Intel. They are now cloud solution architects in the sales organization where they belong, getting out there and helping other people come up with a good cloud strategy. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, last time we talked about the importance of a cloud broker organization. Let's talk more about what you learned when you were doing this stuff. So let's dive right into, first off, what are the differences between the cloud? Aren't they just a utility? What's the difference between PG&E and Edison, Southern California Edison? They just provide electricity, right? Isn't it the same with cloud?
Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I stumped you guys. This is awesome.
No, I mean, it depends on, when we first started, there were a lot of differences, as I mentioned previously, one of the main differences was, the data center locations, regional availability, right? Even now, cloud providers, some cloud providers will have availability zones across all of their regions, right? And some cloud providers now still they're catching up. There's only 5 or 10 regions that have availability zones, right? So there is still differences even now. So, the reason we were pausing was, it depends on whether you're asking about how we started 7 years ago or now, right? And now there's maturity. There's definitely maturity between different cloud providers. But now, what we are seeing is that some cloud providers are, kind of trying to specialize in certain areas. For example, AI and machine learning, cognitive services, etc. And database services offering. Some are very rich in their managed database services, right? So we are seeing, some differentiation, but it's not as, like before, where it was, night and day differences. Nowadays, it's much more, they're more similar than not.
Oh, so that's really interesting. 7 years ago when you guys first started, much more differentiation, mostly
Absolutely.
Because of regions, and regions matter for latency,
quite a bit,
for a lot of things, right? Regulatory.
Yeah.
And then you said we saw kind of a commoditization of it.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to differentiate themselves again.
Yeah. And so now, there's some, there's also some cost factors still in play. Most cloud providers now, allow you to do reserve purchasing and things like that. And no, that wasn't available across all cloud providers before, right? And now there's still some cloud providers that will allow you to, have any type of compute with, any configuration you want in terms of, number of CPU, memory, while most others, they have set, series, if you choose a particular instance, size, you get 4 CPUs, 16 gigs of RAM, things like that. So there's still some minor differences. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near what it was before.
Okay, so if I'm evaluating the differences in the cloud service providers now, it's mostly not going to be on, it's going to be on cost, different services they offer. And what about security?
Security
is that pretty standard across all of them now?
I think they've done a really good job in security, of late. So as of today, I would say it's pretty, uniform across multi-cloud providers. They all pretty much allow you to have a central, portal for all of your enterprise security. They have different toolings for, policies and guardrails, automation, enforcement, and things like that, right? So I would say it's pretty even. Kevin, you could,
yeah. Security was a long journey for us as well. We went through a pretty in-depth thing where we managed all security ourselves. We went off and had a whole bunch of external third-party vendors that we bought products, and we even wrote a white paper on this. But now we've kind of moved to using native security products with the cloud providers. They at the beginning, they weren't really providing that great of a service. So third-party companies would go off and they would build a third-party product that provided, security for Amazon or security for Azure. But now the cloud providers have kind of built a lot of that into their platforms now. So, Intel switched over to using more native components of that, which is, they're still growing in that space. I think that there's a lot of work that they could still do in security and making it easy for people to consume services in the cloud. But because in some cases you still have to do the security yourself, unless you're using managed services that are directly from the providers, which don't give you, layers down to the OS level. The vendors manage all of that for you. If you're using, the IaaS layer of things where you're having to patch your servers and replace your servers and upgrade the versions and things, there's still quite a bit of hands-on work that you have to do in the security space.
Okay, so it's not like the cloud service providers are a full managed security shop yet.
I think
not yet.
I think that's a direction that a lot of them are going, because people just want to consume things. They just want to take their code and just put it out there and not have to worry about infrastructure. But there comes with costs with that too. Some of those some of those managed services can be costly too. So you have to kind of weigh the cost of managing it on your own, or using the things that are kind of provided out of the box, but you're going to pay overhead for that.
Yeah, I think the main difference was in the past, there weren't even, tooling that was available by, cloud service providers to be able to properly secure an enterprise in public cloud. So that's why we were using a lot of third-party toolings, et cetera. But now, at least the tooling is mature enough that we feel, if you have the experience, if you are still a new company, organization using public cloud, using native tooling from public cloud may not be the easiest thing in the world, because it's not fully managed, et cetera, right? It's not an easy go button. That's where I think third parties tooling will come in, is that they make it, one of the main things they offer is, a unified pane of glass, right? Where with one tool, you could manage your security across all cloud providers.
Across multiple cloud
Whereas,
providers,
when you're using native tooling, you're using different tooling, different portals for every provider, things like that. But if you have the skill set and maturity and ability to do so, then now at least they provide the tooling to do so.
So that's interesting. So if I'm a small to mid-sized company, SMB, I'd probably go with not the native tool set, because I probably don't have that in my org. But I would use a managed security service more than likely.
Especially if you want to have a unified portal, right? I think unified,
right, which I would if I'm an SMB, right? Okay, that makes sense. So this is really important. The differentiation between the clouds is harder. They're differentiating on services. You mentioned AI services, or maybe I can fine tune my instance on the number of virtual cores I have, or whatever it is.
Right.
But in reality, they're becoming more of a utility.
I would say that's definitely the direction. Yeah.
Okay, good. So do you guys think, and this one, hey, give me your best shot. Do you think there'll be a race to the bottom as far as cost goes? Because we've had quite a few people, when they get their first cloud bill, they're like, what did I just do?
Yeah, there's still, I think there's still an art to cost management. A lot of tools, vendors have native tooling that will help you, like advisors that will do cost management, etc. There's public cloud calculators that's available, etc. However, there's still a shock. There's definitely some hidden charges. One of the biggest areas that we see the hidden charges, that surprises our business partners, are in the data ingress and egress charges, right? And so depending on if you're talking about from on-prem to public cloud versus within the public cloud to like a different regions, so there's different charges, right? And so we see that's probably one single most areas of surprise charges. The other areas I think is that over provisioning. A lot of times people will over provision their resources, and Intel now Intel currently also, does have, Intel Cloud Optimizer that is powered by Densify that will help with things like that, to identify, over provisioned resources and to recommend through, detailed analysis, what are the optimal, instance sizes and families you should be using and things like that. So yeah, those are the two main areas of surprises, I think, is that hidden charges from network, bandwidth charges and the,
Oversizing or having
yeah.
zombie instances.
Exactly.
Out there,
It'd be
right?
like detached storage volumes, right? That is not connected to anything,
Yeah,
things like
exactly.
that, right? Absolutely.
All right, cool. When you guys were cloud brokers, people would come to you and say, I've got this workload, I want to put it into the cloud. Did you ever say, no, don't do it? Did you ever
Yes,
say, keep that
absolutely.
on-prem?
Absolutely.
So what, wait, you guys, cloud brokers, you're just supposed to be, pushing the cloud. That's what brokers do, right?
Private cloud counts too. Yeah.
Yeah, private. All right. So you guys worked on kind of some criteria, right? You say, hey, these are the areas that we look at to determine workload placement, right?
Yes, we actually had an internal tool that we developed. It was called decision framework tool. It was basically app rationalization tool to determine what, basically we called it right workload in the right place. And so, after going through this tool, the idea was that it will make a recommendation of whether that workload, is optimally should land in a SaaS environment, on-prem environment, a public cloud environment, right? And so, so we did, have that tool, and there has been many cases where, we have, recommended, on-prem being our best solution, and so not all workloads, even now, are optimal for public cloud. Now, that may not be true for all companies. Intel does have a large on-prem data center, and so not every company will have that kind of data center. We have a very large private cloud team and private cloud environment, but if you're a medium-sized organization, etc., company, you may not have that, right? And so public cloud will obviously be the your best bet. But for Intel, we do have a mix of public cloud and on-prem.
So Dave, not everyone has the same tool. Obviously, it's an internal tool to Intel. So if I'm making this determination myself, what criteria would you look at to make this happen?
Sure. I think even though there's a level playing field, pretty much better than before, data affinity and data gravity, is still primary concern. Making sure that there's availability for different the cloud providers on the for workload to place it in the right regions. So that's still one of our primary factors. Other factors are security. Security is still important in terms of determining the various different cloud providers. They have matured, like I've mentioned, but you want to make sure the identity providers, the encryption and the single sign options and the compliance and all of the other security that security issues that you normally deal with on-prem, you're able to extend that in public cloud as well, right? And a lot of times we find that it's if you could instead of having separate tooling on-prem and public cloud, if you had the same kind of tooling that spans public and private, that's much better. The teams don't have to relearn separate tooling, like a firewall, tooling, for example, right? If that extends, both on-prem and public cloud, that's much better. Other things are, privacy, as well as, workload stability, HADR requirements, right? Does, I mentioned earlier that certain cloud providers providers will have, availability zones, which is basically a data centers in the same regions in multiple data centers, right? And they'll have it across all of their regions. Some don't, right? And so, you want to take a look at that. And finally, the fifth one is the cost, right? In terms of there's still some differences between, public cloud providers of cost, right? And some have, especially when you're dealing with large compute instances, like let's say, 100 large instances, or compute, very compute intensive or memory intensive, workloads, right? There's still some differences in cost, so that plays a factor as well for workload consideration.
So, in what cases did you find? What were the typical cases that you found that you said this should just stay on-prem? What would lead you to that decision?
Well, I think if one of the main thing was, data affinity. If if a workload is connecting to a lot of on-prem systems, database systems that are, they need to connect to, that haven't moved to public cloud yet, right? So that it doesn't make sense to, put that workload in public cloud and connect back to on-prem. Now, even though Intel does have, hybrid connectivity between on-prem data centers and public cloud, even then, it still makes sense to have that workload on-prem because of, you're still dealing with physics, right? I mean, if, the data latency, speed of light is speed of light. You may have less than 20 milliseconds of latency, but depending on the workload, that may be quite impactful, right? So,
well,
so data affinity,
you mentioned earlier egress costs too.
Exactly.
Right. If you got a
yeah,
really chatty application back to on-prem,
absolutely.
the cost could be astronomical.
Yeah, and also, if that workload is using, standard services that are offered on-prem, like storage and compute, and networking, really, if that's all really they're using, and we have the capacity on-prem, that's where we would land them, because it doesn't really make sense to, for them to go out. Now, on the other hand, if they are externally facing and they want to use services that we simply don't offer on-prem, then absolutely, right? And that it's a good, candidate for public cloud.
Kevin, we've heard about, all right, I know where to play. You guys provided some valuable information to people using it, but how do you actually sell your cloud broker service, your organization? What techniques did you guys use to make this happen?
I think we really created ourselves as the go-to people for cloud, right? So when we first started all of this, it was really a wild, like I mentioned in previous episodes, was wild west, right? So we basically introduced the ability for us to provide a quick, easy way to people to get public cloud, and then make sure they got it in a secure manner, right? So we checked them for all of their security. We had automation in place to give them their networks, make it all happen for them. So it was a benefit for them to use us, right? So it wasn't really that we had to sell ourselves. They just knew, hey, I need a cloud account. Let's go to the broker team. They give me it within 24 hours. I'm up and running, and I can get all the help I need. Enterprise support, I can get anything I needed, I can get from these guys, right? So it really sold itself after a period of time, once people got used to talking with us, right?
So how did you get to that point? Because that didn't happen day one. I know, because no. I hated that you guys existed. I'm sorry. Sorry to say that. I all of a sudden I lost all the control that I wanted, right, as a developer. I spun up any instance I wanted, and
I think it was a mixture of it, because when people first got their accounts, they were unsecure, and then the ban hammer came down by InfoSec, right? They'd come in and say, you are going to get your account shut down, and most of the developers say, well, what did I do wrong? I didn't know I did something wrong, right? So that's where the broker team would help provide them with the tools and the resources to say, oh, you don't do it that way. You do it this way. And let me help you, build your network correctly with automation. I'll run this script to build your network and configure it. And they didn't, and we started getting into the place where it will auto fix it things, right? Somebody does something bad, it'll go in and auto fix it and take that bad thing out of their environment, right? So instead of getting all of these notices saying, hey, go fix your stuff, right? You're not compliant, and they not knowing how to be compliant, we would actually take care of it for them, right? With automation.
I think that one right there is the key, because I remember when I first started getting those emails, and I'm like, I don't know how to do, what are they asking
what
me
is
to
this?
do?
Yeah.
And I loved it when those stopped happening and things just started getting fixed.
Yeah. So we've really grown in that space, because it was just, hey, here's 50 emails that come out on a Wednesday afternoon that you're not compliant, right? And the developers are just building a bunch of security groups. They're launching instances. They're not patching them, so we just help provide a lot of those things that they can get now out of the box. Just request a VM or request a network, and it's already there set up for them. So that's really what sells the brokerage, is providing those types of services that help people enable the developers to get what they need, but also not be annoyed by all the security stuff that gets sent on them after the fact, right?
Absolutely. No, go ahead, Dave.
Just to extend on what Kevin said, I think one of the key values we added was that because we're working directly with our business partners on public cloud, we were able to provide the issues they were having by having this too aggressive of security policies, and we're able to act as a bridge between our end customers, business partners, and information security groups, and say, okay, this is causing too much hassle, too much ticketing, etc. Right? And so how do we find that right balance where it still allows developers enough freedom to work within a framework, a secured framework, and still meets the security requirements that information security has, and does alerting and enforcement notices. So we were able to provide that that balance, that feedback.
I love how you said that, because that's what a true broker does, right? You guys
mediator.
were a mediator. Yeah, you guys got yelled at from InfoSec,
exactly,
and also the developers, right?
InfoSec said, here's our policy, right? And then we're like, okay, how do we apply that policy realistically, or intelligently, not just you can't do X. Well, maybe they need to do that, but provide it in a safe and secure way.
I can imagine InfoSec was like going, you're going to do what? You're putting all of our data on a public cloud? Are you crazy? Right? I mean, InfoSec guys, they don't want anything outside of the walls. They would love it if we didn't have any external network connectivity, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
we understand that.
That was a key component to what we provided too, man. We call, Dave and I call these discrete versus, hybrid accounts, right? So a discrete account is, something that's not connected back to the home mothership of Intel. All they want to do is just have their application. It sits in their network, and it talks to the internet. That's all they wanted. And it didn't have to add all this extra stuff, because it's not really connected to Intel. It's very isolated. Everything's siloed in the cloud. So if something does get compromised, just that one application gets compromised, not everything else. Versus the enterprise world, you're worried about your entire internal network being compromised, because everything's all attached to each other, right? So that's another beauty of the cloud, is doing those POCs and those development things out there. And you can do it cheap too. You can use small instances. You can turn things off at night. And you could tear it down really quick. Hey, this project's going to end and it didn't go anywhere. Let's just kill the account and you're done. You don't have to worry about, taking a bunch of servers out of racks and shipping them off and, mothballing them and things like that. So that's another beauty of where we really grew with the cloud.
So the other thing that you guys provided was training. This was actually pretty brilliant. You brought the cloud service providers in and had training sessions and made that available to your users. Right? Instead of, we're going to train you guys said, no, let's bring in the experts. Let's give as much free training as we can. I thought that was a brilliant move.
Yeah, they're more than willing to give you training, right? So the cloud providers want to help you grow in your community. So arranging that and brokering the relationship between the vendor and the business partners to get the training that they need, and then setting up workshops throughout the year. That was a really benefit. And that really grew from the Cloud Center of Excellence as well, right? They would provide the feedback on, hey, I want training on this. And then we would kind of negotiate that with the vendors.
And also, as we had the maturity of using public cloud, we brought in teams that are experts in public cloud to do internal teams within Intel to showcase what they have done. That way, their other groups could learn from that, right? And so not just bringing in external vendors, our cloud service providers, but also within our experts within the company to do lunch and learn sessions and things like that. That really promoted our cloud center of excellence, at Intel.
Great job, guys. This is awesome. What you've been able to do. Thanks again for coming on the show. We will most definitely have you guys back. I think this has been invaluable. Thanks for listening to Embracing Digital Transformation today. If you liked our episode, go ahead and give us 5 stars on your favorite podcast or video streaming site. You can also find out more on embracingdigital.com. Until next time, keep moving forward and do something wonderful.